When more than one person gets together with other persons of similar beliefs, you now have organized religion. It can be 2 people or 2 million people strong. Either way, things now have to be communicated to others, rules and guidelines have to be formed, efforts made to make the group survive as a group, and of course, because we are the way we are, there has to be a leader or leaders. Organized religion represents the best and worst of our species. As a united activity, religious congregations have provided charity and assistance to those in need. Sometimes the price for this help was having to undergo an attempted conversion to the faith, but many times no price was asked for at all, and the help was freely given. Groups which are non-religious in nature can get together and provide aid and assistance to those in need, and many do. But realistically speaking, would all of the people in church groups who have aided others been so inclined to gather and help if their religious leaders had not asked them to? I doubt it. In addition to sheltering and feeding the poor or indigent, churches are also social hubs where members meet and socialize, not just about religious topics, but anything. Churches sponsor sporting events, camping, and other youth activities and provide real education to people who would not otherwise be able to get it. While no one can or should deny that a great deal of good has been done by religious groups, the opposite is also just as true and just as undeniable. You'd have to be living on a remote island to not be aware of the human rights abuses, financial ripoffs, criminal activities, and outright murder done in the name of religion. This has been a factor throughout all of history, from literally our very earliest writings all the way to today. There are very few political, social, or personal issues which seem to be able to generate the rabid antagonism and hate that religious fervor causes. As strong as some liberals or conservatives may feel about their favorite political candidate, I have yet to see anyone gunned down in the street because they didn't support a George Bush or a Barack Obama. I've never seen a suicide bomber or children so heavily brainwashed by the NAACP or GLAAD that they enter a mall filled with thousands of innocent shoppers and blow everyone to bits to make a statement about civil rights. There's something unique and different about organized religions that make them stand out amongst the other groups that human beings form and drive their members to commit some of the worst atrocities in the history of mankind on all sides of the belief equation. I'm not just talking about Christians or Muslims. Examples can be found in history of almost any religious group taking up arms against other religious groups over their differences in beliefs, or at least using those differences as a justification for hostilities, even if the true nature of the conflict was over land, money, or other issues. In the United States, we are guaranteed a freedom of religion by the First Amendment to our Constitution, which states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." It's quite clear that government is not supposed to be trampling into our beliefs or our rights to establish organizations around those beliefs. But in this day and age of such obvious human rights abuses and violence committed in the name of religion, I would argue that some degree of oversight is necessary. In the same way that freedom of speech is restricted to not being able to falsely shout fire in a crowded theater, religious tax exemptions and privileges must also be regulated. Currently, courts provide far too much latitude to religious groups to get away with the most obvious and heinous crimes in the name of religious practice. One need only look at the example that the Church of Scientology has set in precedent after precedent, giving it free rights to pay slave wages, financially bankrupt its members, as well as stalk and harass its critics. I'm quite sure Scientology is not the only group to abuse its protections under the First Amendment. This is a situation that needs to change, and it's only going to when we, the people, bring enough pressure to bear on our government and courts to act.